Overview. To create a Google account, you'll need to agree to the terms of service. The user's Google account shall be created if the user agrees to the terms of service provided by Google. However, if the user does not agree to the terms of service, the user cannot proceed to create his Google account. The user is free whether or not to agree to the terms of service. Google does compel nor coerce the user to agree to the terms of service. During the creation of his Google account, if the user agrees to the terms of service, then he must click the "I agree" button. However, if the user does not agree to the terms of service, then he must not click the "I agree" button. What do we mean by terms of service? Terms of service, also known as terms of use and terms and conditions, are the legal agreements between a service provider and a person who wants to use that service. The person must agree to abide by the terms of service in order to use the offered service. Actually, in this instance, there are two persons involved. 1. The user or computer user who creates a Google account and who wants to use the services provided by Google, and 2. Google company, the service provider or the company that provides the services to the user. The user must agree to abide by the terms of service in order to use the offered services by Google company. The concept of person. In legal parlance, the term "person" refers either to 1. An individual or natural person, which in this case, refers to the user, or 2. Artificial or juridical person such as an organization, association, company, corporation, or entity, or the Google company in this instance. When the user agrees to the terms of service, then, an agreement or contract is created between two persons, the user and Google company, and they become the contracting parties. Now, there are two contracting parties, the user and Google company. What is a contract? A contract is an agreement through meeting of the minds between two persons whereby one binds himself, with respect to the other, to give something or to render some service. When the user clicks the "I agree" button, an agreement is created. There is meeting of the minds between two persons, the user and the Google company, whereby the user binds himself to abide by the terms of service in order to use the offered service. On the other hand, the Google company also binds itself to give or render some service to the user through the so-called Google applications or services. But, take note, it is important to emphasize that the user merely gives his consent to agree to the terms of service. The user did not participate in the drafting or making of the agreement or contract. The terms of service, as a document, is already there at the time the user agrees to it. In other words, the user merely adheres to the terms of service. In this situation, the terms of service is called a contract of adhesion. What is a contract of adhesion? A contract of adhesion is defined as one in which one of the parties imposes a ready-made form of contract, which the other party may accept or reject, but which the latter cannot modify. The one who adheres to the contract is, in reality, free to reject it entirely. If he adheres, he gives his consent. Thus, Google company imposes a ready-made form of contract or agreement, that is, the terms of service, which the other party or the user may accept or reject. The user cannot modify the terms of service. The user who adheres to the contract is, in reality, free to reject it entirely. The user adheres to the terms of service, which is the ready-made form of contract provided by Google company, by clicking the "I agree" button during the process of creating his Google account. What is Estoppel? Through Estoppel, an admission or representation is rendered conclusive upon the person making it, and cannot be denied or disproved as against the person relying thereon. Thus, this law will not allow the user to say that he has not read and understood the entire contents of the terms of service after he clicked the "I agree" button. Meaning, when the user clicked the "I agree" button, there is a conclusive presumption that the user has read and understood the entire contents of the terms of service. Besides, when the user clicked the "I agree" button, the Google company has relied upon him that he has read and understood the entire contents of the terms of service. By clicking the "I agree" button, he is stopped or precluded from saying that he has not read and understood the entire contents of the terms of service. The user is already in Estoppel when he clicked the "I agree" button, although he has not read and understood the entire contents of the terms of service. The user should not click the "I agree" button if he has not yet read and understood the entire contents of the terms of service, because the moment the user clicks the "I agree" button, the terms of service is already binding upon him even if he has not read and understood the entire contents of the terms of service.